with all the unfortunate news happening this week, it does seem like maybe there is some good news to mix in there. And, I like being the guy to kind of give the good news. Now, this is going to be something that I believe comes down to the individual and how they view things. A more traditional gamer might not look at this the same way that I might. So, there's that to kind of take into consideration as we go forward. For me, anyway, I'm kind of looking at things and I'm just taking them one day at a time. I hope that Microsoft gets things kind of under control, but you never know what they're going to do, to be honest with you. I really do hope that they kind of understand that their actions have a very big reaction from the industry as a whole. So, you kind of hope that they get things worked out. But, again, you never really know. I want to get into this, though, because it could work out good in Microsoft's favor if this does line up and turn out to be the case. Let's get into it. Hey, I'm Crab Gamer. This is Crab Gamer Reviews with another video. Thank you so much for checking it out. I appreciate it. Please like it, share it, and subscribe if you enjoy my content. I do daily gaming content, and I try to be fun yet informative. So if you enjoy that kind of stuff, hey, you found the right place. Please settle in. Now, we know game prices are going up. Regardless of how you feel about it. If you ask me, yeah, it sucks to see the prices going up, but I also, in a way, understand it. I've been gaming since the 1980s, and games were like, $60 back then. So the fact that for 40 years, the games pretty much held pat at the same price while, costs were driven up over and over and over again, you can sort of understand it. But what this is going to do, probably in Microsoft's favor, is, more value for Game Pass, And, yeah, Game Pass will go up in price too. But still, think about the value that they're going to be adding to traditional, Game Pass and things like that. Microsoft announced a bunch of their products going up in price. Nintendo announced, $80 games. Latest price hikes are largely down to, different ideas and things like that. We don't really know, especially considering Microsoft does digital games mostly, and there should be no tariff on that, so we'll see how that works out. But anyway, with Xbox consoles going up, prices of the games going up later this year, it'll be breaking the $80 barrier for its AAA games. I don't think things like South of Midnight would have been $80. Maybe not Avowed either. It's hard saying what they would view as like a AAA game. Like the Halos and the Forzas and the Gears of Wars obviously will be 80 going forward. But anyway, it's funny because we got two price bumps in the same generation. Think about that. I don't think that's ever happened. When this generation started, Microsoft was like, we're going to stay with $60. We want to, give our fans values, etc., etc. And then they bumped it up to 70 eventually, and now 80. It's kind of crazy. The rate of inflation has outpaced the price of games for years. We live in a time where the outright cost of the game isn't the end of its monetization. Between special editions, DLC, and early access incentives, game publishers are making the money one way or another. And now we're moving into a time where another $10 is being added to the top-end game price. So in very quick successions from the industry's last game hike, sure, Nintendo's doing the same with the Switch too. And sure, major reasons for the price hike are maybe perhaps beyond Microsoft's control, but it doesn't really mean that it doesn't sting in a tough economic climate. $80 games are quite ridiculous, honestly. Yeah, it's crazy. And listen, not every game is going to be $80. I mean, yeah, Microsoft's first party big AAA bangers will be, but at the end of the day, the smaller stuff won't be, like that Claire Obscure game, like from third parties and things like that. So we do kind of have to look at that and, and kind of just understand where a lot of these things are coming from. So, again, I think that we're in a definite weird situation. The world itself is in a weird situation, but at the end of the day, Microsoft could be in a better situation thanks to how Game Pass looks to this. So there's many games available, that spending $80 on feels like a very poor financial decision. The backlog is always there as well. Like, I always look at that as well. Like, I could leave new gaming today and I would never run out of games to play, and people think I'm lying, but I'm looking at one of my shelves right now. I've got probably hundreds of games with the packaging still on them, and those are just the physical ones, not the digital ones that I have that I've never even played, that I just pick stuff up when it's cheap. So yeah, it's very interesting. But anyway, you could subscribe to something like Game Pass to play all the Xbox games at one low monthly price. Microsoft has bought so many different publishers and games and IP that realistically they cover almost everything you need, from Call of Duty, even eventually like Madden and the college football game, because EA Play is in Game Pass Ultimate. All the Bethesda stuff, the Doom, Outer Worlds, the Obsidian stuff, like all the stuff that Microsoft has is going to be available in that way. So Game Pass subscriptions are starting to make a lot of sense. I know a lot of people like to own games, and I'm like right there with you, but I can definitely see how that's one of those things that when we look at how these things are happening, Microsoft really has to be careful with how they do things. It's like, man, they really kind of dropped the ball with some of what's happening right now, and I'm not sure that they're going to be able to run with it too much longer. But I mean, listen, we'll see what happens. I do think that at the end of the day, Microsoft has a lot of positive stuff going on. Like I said, I've always been a big believer in their consoles and some of what they're doing. I think that there is clearly a situation where gamers are going to be unhappy with what Microsoft is doing, because 2 generations now back to back they've kind of given up, and I can understand the frustration there, because I'm frustrated by it, and that's just one of those things that I can't help. It's just like you look at it and you go, okay, and I want Game Pass to be successful. I've said for a long time I felt like Game Pass is a very good deal, but I've always felt like Game Pass is a deal more as an add-on situation, as opposed to a deal that you should only do that instead of buying games. Like, I love Game Pass, and I think this year Game Pass has been the best that it's ever been, and it's been the biggest deal of of everything that I've seen. So, again, Microsoft has a lot going for it, but I think the thing that they don't have going for it anymore is they're not a company that people trust. And, they used to be a company that honestly, us as fans would kind of look into these things and say, okay, well, how can Microsoft fix what's going on? And I think that point of no return has been largely passed, and I don't think Microsoft has any plans or intentions to address any of this stuff. If you guys remember when they increased the price of the Xbox Live Gold by $100, people were outraged. Very quickly, Microsoft responded, "Oh, we're sorry, we hear you, etc., etc." I don't think we're ever going to see something like that from them. I just don't think that they care, So we'll have to see what happens in the future. But hey, Game Pass does look pretty sweet. I can see how people would think, hey, spending $250 a year on Game Pass get you literally access to hundreds of games and all the latest stuff. Like I said, it's been an incredible year for Game Pass, and they've had so many like bangers on there that it's crazy. It's like the Oblivion remaster, that Claire Obscure game, Doom and Avowed and Outer Worlds 2 and Call of Duty is going to be on there. So yeah, it's kind of insane to see, but at the same point in time, Microsoft has to make sure that they keep things kind of rolling in a very smart way, because fans aren't going to be fooled very easily. It's like you have to be able to kind of keep fans excited by what you're offering, and hopefully they can do that. So with that being said, I definitely appreciate each and every one of you. If you guys enjoy what I'm doing, please leave a like. That's pretty much all I ask. Very much appreciated. And again, hopefully Microsoft can get everything together. I know they're having a rough week or whatever, but anything can happen, anything can change. Let me know what you guys think. Rack 'em up. Crap Gamer out.